Good morning, everybody. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Zach
Welcome to
starting his business. Eat your pumps. Oh
Wild
man, sorry. Cheers.
Wild
Hearts podcast.
Okay.
Look at you guys. You guys look good. Zach,
You
you're
do
not,
too.
you're not in that video.
Hey, look at this.
Which
We
one?
got.
Oh.
Everyone's got ripped jeans. Oh, you
No,
don't, Zach.
me.
No,
No.
Zach's got
I
normal
wore
jeans.
mine yesterday.
Okay, we have a surprise before we get started and tell you all the things and introduce our special guest this week. So Sean and I have been working on something special that we're excited about because basically Wild Hearts for us is a really important part of this podcast is creating community, and we want all of you and the entire community to be a part of what we are doing. And in case you haven't noticed, we kind of stank with technology and we need some better equipment to better get our content across so that we can be on iTunes and other podcast platforms. And with the quality that we have right now, that is not quite possible. So we need some new equipment and some new things for editing. So we are raising some money by selling t-shirts. Boom.
Woo!
Don't they look so good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
They
Whoa.
look so good. So we have maroon. That was weird because it's reversed on the thing.
Yeah, that's
Re-
right.
re-
We have
reverse.
Maroon, which I think is both Sean and I's favorite color, right?
Yeah.
It's
and
very
Zach-
grounding.
and
That's
Zach's.
your favorite color too?
No, but my
Please
hat's
just fake it for the
Let's
sake.
go.
Come on, you
Like-
could have done 3 in a row.
We have white
I like how I'm still sitting over for like 10 minutes. Like, why
and we have black,
Yeah.
which is my favorite because it's slimming.
So straight up, guys, we're just asking for your help. We are selling the t-shirts. We're gonna give you the link at the end of the show.
Well, the link is in the link is in my Instagram bio right now.
Mine
I
too, I
posted it
guess.
on Facebook and it's in Sean's bio as well.
Okay, so I guess it's already posted. A little
Yeah.
off kilter there, but
We would just love to see these t-shirts around the community.
They're
Yeah,
flying
guys.
back to Arizona with me, so
Yeah.
you'll see them out there.
But yeah, guys, we're just helping. What we're really trying to do is we try and get this podcast up on iTunes, Spotify, and all the major hubs. But to do that, you need to have good audio visual quality. Our audio has been a little lackluster from some of our reviews of the podcast. So we're trying to get a new mic. Those are a little bit costly. So
Somebody
if
wants
you
one.
guys can help support us
Yes.
with buying the t-shirts, it really help us, build up this to give you guys better content, better quality across the board, and just help grow this.
I think we get a slide over because
And we're really
I'm the
excited.
star and I'm not even
That's
on my
Oh,
podcast.
shoot.
I'm the star.
I'm the star, he says. You are the star. All right,
That's right.
let's introduce
All right,
the
so
star.
we're gonna
Have we-
introduce the star. So here's the star.
Star is born.
the star.
The star for all you guys. This is my cousin
Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah.
If you guys follow me on Instagram, I've made some pretty heartfelt posts about this guy. I love him to death. But just to give you guys a little bit more about who he is, here we go. So my cousin Zach is 24 years old, recovering heroin addict who survived a suicide attempt, multiple overdoses, and homelessness. Struggling with addiction since his teen years, he's been to multiple rehabs, detoxes, hospital emergency rooms, and so on. He survived by the grace of God after taking a leap of faith and flying out to Arizona with nothing but a trash bag.
Trash bag Zach.
He's been on this journey of recovery on and off for the last 7 years, and he's here to share his message of hope today to inspire those struggling out there and eventually be on stage helping people channel their hurt into hope. And I'm going to add a little plug here. Hopefully it's going to be with me. Hey!
Yeah.
Welcome, Zach.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Zach.
Thank you. for
Cheers.
the
Did we already
intro.
cheers?
Cheers. It's worth it
Did you
again.
guys go to Dunks this morning?
Dunks. America runs on dunks.
Yeah, but
Goodness.
alright, so actually we're going to do America does run on dunks, but not for Michaela.
I got 5
I'm
live.
not a fan.
Jason, can I raise money to have Zach fly to Palm Beach?
Yes.
Yep.
Wearing the t-shirt?
So
Bringing
Jason,
one for me.
Jason,
Proud of you. Jason, dude, this guy.
Jason, just so
Good
you
guy.
know, you gotta raise enough to bring us out too. That's part of the deal.
Jason,
Yeah.
Jason, do you want the extra small though to get those pumps?
Oh my
swole,
God.
You know what I
Oh
mean,
my
guy?
God.
You know, it's
All right.
Oh,
So
well, we're so excited to have Zach.
and so why don't we just do our intro? So for
Oh,
the
yeah.
people.
So
that-
Zach's people know who we are.
Yeah. So you want to go first?
I'm Michaela. Welcome. Okay.
Is that all?
I'm awkward. So, okay, yeah, I'm Michaela. My business is Michaela Jean Photography, also the co-host of Wild Hearts podcast. And yeah, so I work with intimate, adventurous couples, a wedding photographer, elopements. I also do a lot of work with vulnerability and women's empowerment photo shoots, kind of encouraging and inspiring women to step into their own beauty. I lead vulnerability workshops, and yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Hey guys, my name's Sean Adam, Up and Adam Inspirational Speaking and Life Coaching. I'm also the co-host of All Hearts podcast. I stepped into the work I'm doing. It was actually kind of a very tumultuous last year. Kind of cleared the path for me to follow my heart. And I remember I was inspired years ago by a guy named Les Brown, big motivational speaker. We were at a time when I was really going through a lot of depression. And I just remember at that moment just saying, if I can survive myself, I want to turn kind of similar to this guy, turn my pain into hope for others. And I've dealt with a lot of mental illness throughout my 20s and really kind of battled those challenges and fought the stigma and really had to break free of my own chains and let people love me. And I want to kind of give that work back, or give that hope and work back to other people in the world. And this is the way I'm doing it. So it's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
I also, real quick, sorry, I got to take a TO here. So I just got a text message from my sister who started commit to shift today. AJ, so I hope you're watching.
Wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't throw AJ's name out there.
No, literally. So yeah, Commit to Shift started today. I'm super proud of my sister for doing it. And I actually just got a text message saying she just got her ass handed to her. So yes, AJ, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I have no idea. AJ in Arizona is Apache Junction. It's a place you don't go.
Right.
You'll meet AJ one day. I'm gonna have her. You think I put you through a hard workout? It should make you wipe the floor with you.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
So just as like a heads up, stay tuned for like these two, like their mannerisms are very similar. You'll start to notice. It's very
wicked weird.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous. That's why I sat in the middle. Keep some space. Keep them under control.
Keep the energy under control.
Yeah. But no, I'm very excited that you're here, Zach, because I think your story is going to be a little bit different than some that we've heard in the past, and I think that's going to be really great and exciting and inspiring for people. So can you start by like telling everyone a little bit about yourself in your words, maybe dive into your story a little bit?
Yeah. Let's do a shout out real quick to Nika and Ian, who just got married. Love you guys. Jenna, I see you out there. Love you. Auntie Mo, love you.
Wait. Hey, Zach, who's Jenna?
Jenna May's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I'll kind of tap into like my childhood a little bit. So I guess addiction with the stigma on it, or not even the stigma, just like when you think of addiction, like people in addiction, it usually runs in your family and it runs in the family tree. And I grew up in a house where like drugs and alcohol were kind of what we had in common. You know what I mean? Like you guys might have played sports or done this or done that. Like we went from like so I was just like this kind of little kid running around. I remember like my mom was working 3 jobs to keep food on the table and like give us nice clothes and like provide for us, right? So she was doing everything she could to be the best mom, but like she wasn't there to like have these conversations or like be motherly. Like she was when she could, but she wasn't there that often. And like I remember at a very young age, running around like trying to get everyone's attention. I remember my sister being in her room with her friends, like drinking and smoking weed, and I was like, all right, yeah, cool, what's up? Like, get away, you're annoying. I was like, all right. And then I remember like in my room, I shared a room with my brother, and I have like memories of them all. They were like all lined up, and they're like, yeah, just stand on the bed and punch us in the face. I was like, what is going on? Like, so later on I figured out like that's the direct results of Oxycontin. It just numbs your body, and I guess you want people to punch you in the face. Mm-hmm. But like on a serious note, I guess my dad and mom split up when I was pretty much born or 1 year old. So I never like had a fatherly or a male figure in my life. I saw him every other weekend, but I don't know, like everyone was under some kind of influence. Like I knew if my dad wasn't smoking weed, he was a miserable prick. Mm-hmm. And like you know what I mean? I feared him, and like he always called me like a mama's boy, fucking dumbass, and like so on. And I was like, all right, I'm a mama's boy, dumbass, I'm a pussy. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like I wasn't getting what I needed, you know what I mean, in my household. And I met this kid Brian, and like he was my best friend. I started hanging out with his family, and I don't know, like they were everything I wanted. Like they had normal sit down dinners. They like his dad was always like telling me not to swear, like don't do this, don't do that. You don't need to be so concerned about your cool clothes. He's Chinese, by the way. So I don't even know if that's a Chinese accent. It
That was
sounds really
something.
weird.
That was
It's not
Definitely not my
Chinese.
accent.
Not
Not
American.
Chinese, but that's
Said you don't need to swear to be cool and like whatever. You know what I mean? He was like, "What you're doing, kid? Like I see. You know what I mean? Like you're hurt, you're struggling, and like you're trying to put up this front."
Mm.
And they were just like a really like real heartfelt family, and like they were amazing. And Brian liked MySpace. You guys remember MySpace? Like we were
yeah. Wow.
My,
That's one way
MySpace
back.
#1's like this. We were best friends.
Yeah.
And we did everything together. You know what I mean? Like April vacations, I slept at his house like for 7 days in a row. We would just his mom and dad owned a fortune cookie Chinese restaurant. We used to always go in there. I remember like actually I drank my first beer with Brian at like 11 or 12 years old. We drank it and chucked it in the river. And I remember like at that very young age, like I didn't drink much. I took like 2 sips and dumped out the rest and chucked it. And I was like, I'm loaded.
Oh my god.
Because I didn't like the taste of it, but I wanted like the attention. Like I was loaded, but I was not. Like long story short, Brian, April 29th, 2007, we were actually in a fight on April vacation, and over something like really not important, you know what I mean? At 11, 12 years old, it's probably about like Nerf gun bullets or something, but it caused us to fight for 7
big
days.
deal back then.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And it was,
He stole your Ninja Turtles, you know?
yeah, he probably, no, that was my brother, he sold them. But, April 29th, 2007, it was a Sunday. It was the last day of vacation. He like called me from my friend Andrew's. I was at my friend Joey's. And he was like, hey, do you want to go snowboarding? Da, da, da. And I was still like harboring hate like towards him. I was like really hurt and mad. Like we were mad at each other, you know what I mean? He was like, he stuck his hand out first and I wasn't ready to take it. And I was like, no, I don't want to go snowboarding. It was the last day Wildcat was open. And he rollerbladed. He left Andrew's house and rollerbladed down the street to my friend Spencer's house. And I got a phone call from my friend Andrew, and he's like, Buddy died. I thought he said Buddy died, which is who his dog was. And Brian, my friend, got hit by a car. Rollerblading down the street. Someone was trying to jump the hill at like 60 miles per hour.
Shit, yeah, them.
Right, another 16-year-old like trying to act cool. You know what I mean? But like, you know, held a lot of hate at the time. Like I have forgiveness in my heart for the kid that hit him today, because like,
yeah.
I've driven under the influence. I've driven fast to try to impress girls. You know what I mean? That could have been me that very well hit it, you know? And, like, I held a lot of hate towards myself. I was like, dude, if I would have gone snowboarding with him, he wouldn't have got hit by the car. If I would have done this, I wouldn't have, you know what I mean? That wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And so, like, around that time happening, my mom's boyfriend, Jay, picked me up from Joey's. I hated him. You know what I mean? I didn't like him at all.
Yeah.
Like, I remember my mom. I don't know. I just didn't like him. My mom was with this boyfriend, Todd. We played, like, sports together and did all this together. Todd was a good guy.
Yeah, I thought he was a good guy.
And he coached my baseball team, and, like, he was an amazing guy. And they broke up. Like, he wanted to have a baby. Her tubes were tied, whatever. Long story short, they broke up. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And my mom got really depressed. My sister and brother are already halfway in their addictions by this point. Not halfway, but they're in their addictions. You know what I mean? They're actively using drugs. I'm about to start actively using them. And
do you think that was like to kind of stop you? Was because that's a piece I've never heard. Is like Brian, like I didn't realize that had happened. Like, did that play a big part into like just maybe like a spiral of like just tossing it all up, like whatever, I'm just gonna follow in his footsteps regardless.
So like I think it shifted my my group of friends. Like I didn't like, dude, that was like, you have that one person. I don't know if you guys have that one. Like you guys are really good friends, right? So like if one of you died tomorrow.
Wow. I'm gonna cry now.
Like if one of you were to die tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like I'd be distraught also. But
Yeah,
like
yeah. Yeah, a bit right.
right. And at 12 years old, emotionally, how intelligent are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't even know how to process it.
Right. And yeah, like that. Yeah, and that led into like, so Todd just left my house. I had some like sexual stuff happen to me when I was younger. My sister had some sexual stuff happen to her that she came out about. My mom was like starting to use Suboxone. Fuck Suboxone. Everyone on the podcast, use the language. That's like what the government's using to get people off heroin. It works, you know what I mean? It's cool. I'm not gonna go off on a big tangent. It'll help people. Don't stay on it. It'll kill you. That's that.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, there was just a bunch of things that happened that, like, it just got really scattered, and I started hanging out with people, and I didn't know who I was, dude. Everyone, like, at school, like, had something they did. Like, what I did was hang out with Brian and, like, ride bikes around, shoot Nerf guns, and do that kind of stuff, and, like, go to the fortune cookie, and I hung out with his family. And then I remember I was fat, too. Like, I hated being fat. So,
Me
like,
too.
yeah, like, I struggled with, like, my body image back then.
Yeah.
And, like, I still do. Like, I'm still not completely okay with it, you know what I mean? That's later. I'll get into that, like, lifting excessively to drown out that.
Yeah.
And, like, but, there was just, I started smoking weed and drinking, and I'm not, like, you'll hear people say when I, like, took a hit of weed, boom, like, I arrived. Like, it wasn't like that. Like, I was wicked paranoid and just laughed about it, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, through that, like, I saw my behaviors like that later came to, like, I remember I swore I'd never be like my brother. Like, he's in jail right now. You know what I mean? Because of his addiction, direct results of his addiction, and, like, hurt that was never dealt with. And, like, I saw these behaviors start to come out of me. Like, I could manipulate people and persuade people. And, like, I started selling weed. And then I was, like, this kid in high school selling weed. And I was like, dude, I'm a badass. I got my car. I'm selling weed. I'm getting arrested. Like, I'm hanging out with all these people. You know what I mean? And, like, I thought that was it. Like, everyone had their sports. They were starting out. I was, like, the kid that sold weed. And, like I was telling you last night, like, negative attention was better than no attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember kids always being like, I'm going home for dinner. We're going home for dinner. How cool, guy.
Mm-hmm.
I want my mom to text me to come home for dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that led to another thing. Like, selling weed led to me, and, like, I started hanging out with older people. And then all of a sudden I was around people that were doing oxys. And I was like, I was always wanting to be, like, cool, right?
How old, like, what age was that? Just kind of.
When I first, like, when I was started being around my friends that were doing it, I was 15 or 16. I had my car, so I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was Dawn. I was hanging out at my friend Dawn's house, and we were just, like, selling weed and playing Call of Duty Zombies all summer. And everyone started doing oxys, and, like, I tried one, Perk 30, and, like, when I did that, like, that was when everything just was, like, gone. Like, all my, like, hurt, all my fear, all my insecurities, like, I just felt absolutely, like, amazing. Like, there's nothing you could tell me. Like, I was 100% bulletproof. Like, I went from being that guy, like, selling weed and, like, listening to Wiz Khalifa roll up to, like, oh yeah, like, awesome, let's go do something, to, like, I'm gonna rob all and any friend that I can. And, like, then I got kicked out of high school senior year, and went to rehab because I was, like, nodding off, hitting my head off the desk, and I started doing oxy 80s, and like, one thing led to another. You can see the progression in people's stories. And when I first got sober and, like, I sobered up, like, I remember waking up sober, and, like, I never knew what being dope sick was. Like, why people out there that are using heroin, like, steal or rob people or fuck their family over, or, like, do this and that to make their, like, ends meet. Like, they need to get high.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they need to, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, when you wake up in the morning, you're on autopilot. Like, I'm gonna get my fix. I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Whoever I have to harm in the process, like,
yeah,
I'm sorry. But, like, truthfully, you don't even, like, you feel sorry, but only when you're sober.
Yeah.
When you're high, you don't think about that. When you wake up in the morning, like, I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So then it's like this rapid thing of, like, I'm a fucking piece of shit. I need to do more. I need to do more. And then all of a sudden I get a rehab. I'm like, okay, I just don't do oxys anymore, and I'll be okay. So then I smoke weed and drink, and, like, graduate high school. Everything's cool. Then 2 months later, there's a needle in my arm. And, like, that was, like, another big, like, this is insane. So I went from, like, being in high school, smoking weed, doing that, doing all right in school, to, like, 2 years later, getting out of rehab. Oh, yeah, I spoke in front of my...
Yeah,
Talk
share
about-
that. I think
share
that's
that.
really powerful.
That's really
Okay.
important. Yeah.
So I got out of the Phoenix house, and in Gorham, New Hampshire, we have to do senior projects to, like, somehow better the community or just do some kind of fundraiser. And, like, since I was down in Dublin, New Hampshire at the Phoenix house, I didn't have something that I could do in the community. So I came up with this awesome idea to, like, do a PowerPoint and share my message, and then have 3 of my friends share their message. in front of the whole high school. So like that was really scary, because now I'm like going into my school where I just ripped off all my childhood friends, like stole their weed plans, ripped them off, stole money from them, got them like my bro and friends and Gorham friends were like chasing each other's in cars, and like, one of my friends had a baseball bat. It was, and then I'm sitting at lunch with these kids and like not sitting with them anymore. I'm like now sitting alone and like, who am I? And then like now I come in there sober, right? And I tell my story, and I'm really scary that like they're not gonna be like fuck you, right? Mm-hmm. But like I think anything in life, when you see someone trying to better themselves, like I know for me, I'm very forgiving, and I see the best in people. I know you are, and I think you are just by looking at you. Like,
watch out, people.
But they were all like open arms. They came up to me and like accepted me right back in, you know. But I got out of rehab after 4.5 months, and I smoked weed the first day. Because like I didn't really work on anything at Phoenix House Rehab. You know what I mean? Like I physically got better, and I woke up and I scrubbed like a toilet, and then like finished my school stuff, and then scrubbed the toilet again. Yeah. It was like a poor rehab. We lived in an old horse barn.
Okay.
There's not much in Dublin.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like the best time of my life. It was awful. Like I remember not being able to sleep. I remember looking in the mirror, like hating myself, hating the way I like looked, like just hating everything about me. I was like, hey, who am I? Like if I'm not like selling and doing drugs, like I have no passions. I don't have any of that. Like my whole life's just been fake. I'm like sitting in a circle, and people are like talking about just like stuff they like doing. I'm like, I just like doing drugs.
So it sounds like it's like just like from hearing you, right? Like, so this is something I think I learned in life, is that especially when you're young, like so many people are searching for an identity, and it sounds like you built your identity on like being a drug dealer, or like that. It was all based on drugs, and then like as you've tried to break away from that, it's like the ego death of that is like trying to break away from that story. Like, would you say that that's true? Like, is that kind of like, does that resonate? Like, is that like what you think you did in a way?
Yeah, like when I like first tried to break away, like me, my Nika, and my mom always talk about it. Like when I used to tell my story, like I was so proud of it. Like I lived in a house with Haitians, like selling crack, and like I was like, I did that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, like so many people do that, and like that's not the point of the message anymore. Like I was broken, I was lost, right? And like separating from that is like, yeah, like that's not who I was. That's like what I was doing because I didn't know who I was. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like we talked about just a little bit ago, like the validation that you try to receive from telling your story from a place of like, oh, like I was so like badass for doing that.
Yeah.
Like to maybe like relate it to other people who haven't been through something like you. But what I kind of related it to was like traveling and like creating this story of like, oh, like I'm just doing stuff so that I'm doing it for the story, for the experience and the story, so that I can later on tell people like I did this like really cool thing.
Yeah.
And that kind of like resonates with
like 100%. Like I remember like certain things. I'm like, dude, when I get back to my next rehab, it's gonna be such a sick story.
Yeah.
Like that's delusional as fuck. Like who's out there like, oh, dude, I almost just died and like got robbed.
Like that was your audience, kind of.
Right, and it was like I literally bounced from 19 years old. I went down to Florida and like I bounced in out of like 23 rehabs up until like now I'm 24. And like I'm a runner. Like I couldn't even sit in those rehabs for like I finished probably 3 of the rehabs, but all the other rehabs within like 5 days, they're like, so what's really going on? I was like, I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm okay. I just hit the weight bench. My stomach feels better, and I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna get a girlfriend. I'm gonna get a car, and everything's gonna be good. I'll like replace that identity with just like killing it. You know what I mean? And like I couldn't.
Well, that's important too. Talk about like how that shifted for you, because like your idea of like being okay and success was what would you say? Pumping the weights, like a car and a girlfriend.
It's changed
right?
over and over. Yeah.
So like what? I mean, talk about that. I think that's important. Like talk about that shift. Like that was what when you were 19. You said is kind of where you had that mindset.
Touch on Florida a little bit.
Yeah. Like touch on Florida, and then just talk about kind of like walking through the progression of what it shifted to now. Because I mean. I know what it is centered on, and I think that's really important to talk about.
Yeah,
and how like things have shifted because of that.
Okay, so like down in Florida, I just, like, I don't know, it was kind of like the gym tan laundry thing, and like everyone's just pumping weights and like getting with hot girls. And like,
How did you end up in Florida?
On Helen, on Maureen, and on Paul, I came to my house. So back to delusional, like twisted thinking. I was in a 3-bedroom apartment, no furniture, with no electricity, where I was like, yeah, it was a good time. And I had my aunts come up because I was like setting up an intervention for my mom. I was like, my mom's doing awful, like really bad. Like, you guys got to come up. But like in attempts of them coming up, I was really just trying to get like money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For like to get high. My girlfriend left while they were there to go, at the time, left to go rip off somebody or like sell like do stuff like that. You know what I mean? To get drugs. And my 3 aunts were just like, yeah, it's cool. You want to help your mom, but we can help get you into rehab. I was like, me? I'm good. You see this house? It's clean. Like, I bleached it and everything before they got there. Made it wicked nice. But so I went and sat down with Mom Maureen, and we looked at a couple of rehabs. And January 21st, 2014, my sister hopped on a plane to Florida. 5 days later, I hopped on a plane to Florida. And like I started my process down there, and I did the rehab. I completed that rehab, but even in there was like these 2 girls, and they were like, "You look like Justin Bieber," and I was like, "Oh, sweet!" And like right there, immediate distraction from like what I'm there for. Now I'm like this young kid that's like hooking up with these 2 other 19 and 20, and I'm like, yeah, that's me, right?
Yeah.
Like, someone please validate me and tell me that I'm okay and I'm cool and I'm like doing. I'm not selling drugs, but I'm like hooking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
And like I continued to do that. I got a job. I was valeting. I went into drive time and like got a 2006 Honda Accord for like, I think I signed up for like $24,000, 7 years in payments. I was like, yup, cool. Look at my car. And it just led to like lifting weights excessively. And I didn't really, like, I went to meetings for a month and like had some aha moments, you know? I had my first God shot down in
Tell them.
West. Talk about that.
We know down in West Palm Beach. I was valeting cars right behind City Place, and I wasn't like really working my program or anything at the time. I didn't know my conception of God, and I said a prayer. I was just like sitting there. I was like, God, if you're real, dude, can you like show me some kind of sign that I'm doing the next right thing? I was like, hey man, I guess I don't know. You say after. And right after that, a car pulled up. So I went over there, like went to valet, and this lady was walking by, like by that, like in front of that car, not the lady driving it, but a different lady. And she was like, Jesus loves you, baby, and she wants you to keep doing the next right thing. And I was like, what did you say? Why'd you say it just needed to be said? I was like, yeah, right. Like, I was just like, and I like went back to this lady's like, oh, can you valet my car? I was like, what? Wait. Stop. What? Hold on.
Yeah.
God is real. Yeah.
He said that happened like 30 seconds later.
Yeah, like literally, like immediately. And like that's how it's been in my life when I pray. Like I was talking to Sean about some prayers last night, like they immediately get answered. You know what I mean? And like when I'm in my drug use, I may not see it, but looking back at it and like in hindsight, like everything's like, what the heck, dude? God's like been throwing 2x4s at my head.
You're always getting what you want.
Well, and I think it's so, like, I think that shows up in people's lives in different forms, too, whether it's, like, believing in a God, any God, or the power of, like, manifestation, or, like, however you see it, or just pure, simple magic, like, whatever it is. I think that's so, like, anyone probably can have some kind of way that they can relate to that story, or things where they've just asked for something that's
immediately given to them.
Happen. I think that's so cool.
Well, I think it is. It's so powerful, and I think as we all kind of grow in this awareness and do the self work, right? It's like we learn that a lot of times we're getting exactly what we ask for.
Yeah.
It's just like, are you aware of like what you're asking for?
And sometimes it's negative.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, like people just like I know I did this for a long time. Like the biggest one I used to say sorry, like on autopilot, and I think. We all do this. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but we all have like words or just things you put out into the universe, and it's like you don't even know what you're manifesting. Like you have no like conscious awareness. Like you just say it on autopilot, and then like someone like calls you out, and then you're like, I don't say that, and then like you're like, wow, I just said it like 10 times in like 5 minutes. Yeah, and that's what it's about. I mean, you can pray, you can manifest, you can just say it out into the world, but like our thoughts and our like our words have a lot of power behind them, and you said it, I think you've experienced, I've experienced it, like we're really always getting what we want.
Right.
And then I think it's like just about shifting that as you grow. And like, again, I want to keep you back on track here is talk about how that shifted. Like how you thought being okay and happy and like whatever was gym tan laundry, and now like where are we at now? Yeah, like what have we arrived at?
I'll touch on like a couple like where the bottoms it brought me real quick. Like,
Okay.
where you intervened, where like some things happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like I relapsed, you know what I mean, down in Florida, and like I went down there just in it just progressively got worse. All of a sudden I'm like smoking crack. I'm homeless down in Florida. My sister flies down to get me. Because I won't like answer any of the phones or anything. And
was that like when like she was supposed to hang out with me or something?
Yeah.
And like she was just like,
sorry, you gotta be my brother. He's smoking crack and having heart attacks down in Florida.
Yeah.
And you're how old?
At that time it was so I was down in Florida for 3 years, so I might have been 21, 22.
Yeah. Because when she picked you up, you were like that wasn't that long ago.
Right. Yeah. So she literally picked me up, like physically put me in the car and drove me up here. Put me into a rehab, Banyan, Massachusetts. I'm speaking there this Thursday. And in a snowstorm, I snuck my phone in there and like found out I had a college check down in Florida. So I snuck out of the rehab with a trash bag again. Went to the airport, used so like talking about like the manipulation and persuasion, like I used my insurance, called the rehab down in Florida. I was like, oh, I'm really struggling, I'm suicidal, can I get a flight? They got me a flight and I just dodged them at the airport, went and got my check. After my sister just picked me up from Florida, I made her drive me to the airport like 7 days later. I was like, you have no choice. Like, you have to, right? She relapsed at this point, so now she has that kind of baffling, powerful force. Like, I was like, I'll get you high. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, sick as it is, like, there's, I don't know, that's just what it is. But anyways, like, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden, I'm back up down in Florida, drive up to Mass, like, on the worst run of my life in a psychosis for like 4 days, in and out of D-Hawkses, like in and out of ambulances, in a rehab here, but I'm still not like ready. I just want to like set up a way where I can get high and survive my habit again. I don't want to deal with anything like the feeling of unworthiness, not being good enough, not being a man. Like I don't want to face any of that. Like I'm not ready to deal with it. And like I started seeing all my friends around me overdosing. Everyone, like I said, like there was a friend that I was hanging out with. I dropped him off in Mass, and then I owed him $20, and he like hit me up. He's like, "Hey, come pick me back up." And I was like, "Nah, I owe him $20, so I didn't want it." And then 3 hours later, I found out he died at the house. Like I dropped him off at, and like that's the fentanyl out there. People are shooting. Damn. A kid overdosed in my car. I pulled over to the side of the road, like Narcaned him. And then I go pick up my girlfriend at the time from a sober house, bring her to like somewheres, and we shoot dope. So she's now relapsed. She overdoses, like it's a shit show. And then like you hear from me probably a month and a half later after like my sister Nika got me into like 4 or 5 rehabs that I like went in and out of. One to one, they brought me like this is how sick and like I was in my ways. Like they brought me grocery shopping, and I was like so unokay. Like when I sat here in your room, and I couldn't stay still for like 5 seconds. Now I can stay still for like 15 seconds.
Okay. We're getting there. Baby steps.
So it's better. But like they brought me grocery shopping, and I returned the groceries.
Wow.
To get cash.
Wow.
While everyone else was shopping, put some like empty bags in the thing. Went back to the sober house, grabbed my hamper, walked out of the house with like $70. Hit up a friend, not a friend. Hit up somebody actively using heroin down in Mass. And they picked me up, and then I went to Peabody, and I tried killing myself. Like I loaded 2 grams of heroin in a spoon, sat in the woods, and was just like, "This is it." Like,
that was the moment, right?
Yeah, I was like, "This is awful."
Wow.
And I like somehow made it. Like I fell down, hit my head off like a tree, lost like my hamper of clothes in the woods. Somehow made it back to my unregistered car with a pop tire from Florida that I was living in. And like I called you after seeing you a month before, or like when I saw you too, I was like with family. I mean, any family, I think. For me especially, like you probably too. I don't know about you, but like to my family, I wanted to seem like, yeah, I'm doing great. I was like, I showed up there, I was tan, I was like dressed nice. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing this for work and this and that. I'm going to talk about anything but me. I'm going to talk about what I'm doing, not about what's going on inside. I'm going to portray this image to you that everything's okay.
Yeah.
I think I like started doing dope a week after that. And you looked at me in the eye and you were like, anything you need, kid. Meanwhile, this is not seeing you for 10 years because of my drug use in our family and just like whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. And I called you and I was like, dude, I can just check out myself.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on that because you're just telling it in a very like flyby manner, and I think there's this story and how like me and my cousin like met back up is I don't think there's any more of a divine intervention that I could ever think of. So my aunt Jean had been battling cancer for 5 years, and she finally lost. And I mean, her funeral was the first time in 10 years like our entire family had kind of like come back together. The first time I'd seen Zach in 10 years, Nika, like all these people in my life, they're basically strangers at that point. But we got together. This kid's in his pink polo, like looking fresh. Like, well, you were like a month sober, right, at the time? Yeah, something like that. But you were, again, putting that outward projection, like doing really well. I had known, though, that you were struggling and going through some stuff. But I don't know what it was. Like, I still remember, like, it was just this weird, like, I can't even go back to it and consciously say I was called to do it, but I just remember looking you in the eye and saying, like, here's my number, and if you need anything, like, you call me. And then, you know, like, we go off our separate ways, and I just was like, you know, like, going on with life, and then I get that call, and, I mean, I was gonna panic, like, you know, I mean, you had the courage, because you know, going through mental struggles, going through that stuff, it takes a lot of courage to do that. So you call me, I drive down there in a panic, like freaking out, like going 100 miles per hour to get to you. And I show up and I think I just start crying, right? Like, it's just like, I love you, like, you're good. And, you know, I was dating a girl at the time that was like a recovered addict. I'm like, what do we do? And like, she's like, I wouldn't like bring him to your house. And I was like,
You started sticking things in my ears.
yeah. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, no, they were like,
These are help
it was like, what do you call it? Like acupuncture.
Oh,
yeah. To like help him like calm down. It actually kind of worked. But yeah, she was like, I don't know if it's like a good thing to bring him to your house. And I was like, I know, fuck that. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and you came and stayed here, and I would go to work like having like anxiety all day, like not knowing what you're doing because you couldn't sit still for 2 seconds. This laptop you tried like at one point considered selling. You know, like there was a lot of stuff that happened. And you know, I mean, he was a manipulator, but you know, I can't say I wasn't a manipulator in my life. And you were trying to like, you know, oh yeah, like trick me and like get me this and give me that. I was just like, I remember telling you, I was like, dude, I'll buy you a fucking phone and like you got to figure it out. Like I remember that was the first time I told you no one's coming to save you. And dude, you took it serious. Like you hustled, you made it happen. You flew out to Arizona with a trash bag, and you know, here we are, a year and a half later. You know, so. It's just amazing sometimes how so simple things lead to, you know, these great destinations. And I know for me, like I look at you as like a brother now. Like I mean, I cherish what we have, you know, and it's you know, not everyone's that lucky. You know, I look at it, every time you show up, it's like surreal for me. Like there's a chance that like you should. I mean, really, with what you did, you shouldn't be here. You know, so it's like every time I see your crag ass smiling face, like it's like a blessing, you know. So, yeah. So here we are.
Well, like God working through people, like you said what you said, and like I kind of like, dude, I was out of options. You know what I mean? And like when you left, you're like, go to SOS and try this.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember still trying to like make it work, where I was like, I could get some money from some people and go into a halfway house and just keep what I had. I wasn't willing to like humble myself and be like, dude, I'm completely broken. I'm completely out of options. And like, I have nothing left to do. I have no options at all.
Yeah.
And that's when like you came home from work. I was like, yeah, I figured it out, dude. I'm flying to Arizona. You were like, what? What do you mean? And like, I broke it down, kind of explained to you, and you're like, okay, yeah, I feel strong in it.
Yeah.
And like, in you feeling strong in it, I felt strong in it. Like,
Yeah.
back to that validation from people, or like people's
Yeah.
approval. Like, sometimes it can be positive, right? Like, you can instill hope in other people. Like, I can be like, dude, I believe in you, Michaela, right? I believe in your business. I believe in what you guys are doing. I believe that this is gonna like turn into something, right? Like manifestation, like we manifest greatness in what we do. You know what I mean? Like it's all just the power of belief. Like it displays in your actions.
Well, even off of that too, like I know Sean for me has been one of those people who's come into my life who's like made me really recognize that I'm like we're mirrors for one another. And you even just you saying like I believe in you, Sean, like you're saying that to yourself.
Right.
You're telling yourself you believe in yourself. Coming back to this whole like idea of like what you put out into the world is what you're getting back into the world. So just by you finally like accepting and believing and not anymore like wanting to like steal and like rob from other people. Now you're like, I believe in you, and like putting that into the world, like you're validating your belief in yourself as well, I think.
Yeah.
Does that
No, it resonates.
resonate?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think actually like to really tap into that, like I think oftentimes like even for you and me, like especially you and me, like just because we really have been such a close mirror and helping each other grow, it's like oftentimes the advice we give each other, like we'll step back and like the next be like, yeah, so I was actually trying to tell myself.
Oh, I've done that. I've done that to him. I've been like, Sean, you're creating distractions for yourself and blah, 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 blah. And then I like stop talking and I'm like, wait, I wanted to say that to myself. Not you.
But I think that's like special, you know, is it really is just like shifts in mindsets. And a lot of times it's not a lot. And I mean, we were talking about this recently with Michaela's. It's like we can talk about it all day long. Like I'm not going to talk about the topic we talked about, like whatever, but like you can talk about stuff all day long, or you can just do it. Like just do it. Stop like trying to gain attention by talking about it and just do it. And I remember actually like the topic, and I was like, you said that to me. I was like, oh, like it was like sock it to me in the chest, and I was like, no, but it's like the truth, you know, and it's just taking action. You know, like we can sit here and spin in circles and row the canoe and as hard as I want in a circle talking about it, but what's that do? It's like just decide and put out what you want and go get it. You know?
Yeah. So was there like a specific moment? Like I know you were kind of we chatted a little bit earlier, and I kind of asked you this, but you like people have like a light go off when they realize like I don't want to live in this like cycle anymore. Like I think there was a couple different times for you, obviously.
Yeah, I mean like rock bottom when I hit Sean, when I called Sean, like I had no options, and I was like, I didn't necessarily want to like stop at that point, but like I realized like he said no one's coming to save you, and like there was other points where I was like, damn, like I was just like I messaged and like started like trying to reach out to like 50 people, and like no one would respond. I was like, all right, Zach, I think we're about done here with this 7-year heroin bender.
Yeah.
You know, like you're done taking advantage of people. You're done. Like it's done, right? And like I was telling you about the built-in forgetter, like after a time away from the drug, like, so yeah, just like I realized like there was no other way to get my means met unless I wanted to like start getting like really nasty and like going into places and like rob places, you know. Like I've had a friend rob a pharmacy down in Manchester, and like I wasn't willing to go to those lengths yet, you know what I mean?
But it's like so many people are at those lengths. So like I guess like how do you like what was it for you? I guess like maybe Sean probably obviously played like a huge role in that, but it's like for people, I'm just trying to think of like for people out there who are continuing to go down that path and think they have like no choice, like where's that light? Like where does that like
so like
switch?
I mean it didn't switch, so I was like in Arizona for 30 days, but that's like kind of where like God wanted me to be. Like that's how I see it. And I mean we were talking like we met at Aunt Jean's thing. Aunt Jean lived in Arizona. Like that was kind of
that clicked last night. Whoa.
Mind
blown. Yeah.
But
That was
anyways,
like your gift.
like I got out there and it's like people
Oh wow, yeah.
people speaking things into your life, right? Like I just had to wake up and kind of like sit with myself and like stay with the people that I was aspiring to be. Like you guys have entrepreneurial people you want to be like or you fall, right? Like I had people that were in the rehab that like had a sense of peace and like serenity, and they were like okay with themselves, just like sitting there journaling or writing. I was like, dude, like I want that, right? And then what you want continues to change. I started to like experience some of the freedom. I got a sponsor, and like I sat down with this guy and I wrote down every resentment I've ever had in my life, anything that's ever happened, any like harm that was done towards people, any ill will that I still have or like people have towards me. And like I started hashing it out. And like I sat down in a Starbucks in Arizona with this guy. We got on our knees, did a 3rd step prayer, like God, I offer myself to thee and to do thy will. Like basically like my form of the prayer is like, God, allow me to stop being a selfish piece of shit. Move me out of the way and do your will with me. and like let me be a vessel, right? And like I started, like as I'm talking to this guy, like they say blood, sweat, and tears. Like I was in Starbucks crying for like 4 hours, like talking about this stuff. And after that, he's like, "All right, is that it?" He said it. Like, did you hear that? And then that's where like the self pity kind of turned over, right? He's like, "What are you gonna do now?" I was like, "I don't know. You gonna like comfort me or something?" He's no, we're gonna dive into. You're gonna go to your house. You're gonna sit with yourself for an hour.
Ooh.
And it was easy.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Cool.
Thought it was gonna be hard. Like he did this prayer. He prayed for me. I'm a Christian. He's a Christian. Luckily, we shared faith. That helped me get back into my faith. And like I sat there for an hour, dude, and like I reflected. I'm like, I'm alive, right? And like in that meditation, like for an hour, I thought of my mom, who's like, you know what I mean, still maybe dabbling and struggling with it. I thought about my sister that like drove down to Florida to get me, right? And I wasn't like thinking of all the harm I did anymore. I was like thinking, I was like, dude, this is a blessing. You're in like this fancy rehab because of your father's insurance. I'm like, oh yeah, dad, my dad's all right. He's got really good insurance.
Yeah.
So like by the grace of him, I was there. And no, we have a good relationship today. I love my dad. And
Uncle Ron.
Uncle Ronnie.
Saw him this weekend.
Seen Nika and Maureen said love you guys too as well. And also yeah, like it just like it started changing, dude, my perspective. Like it clicked. Like they talk about a fire bush experience, like or an educational variety.
Yeah.
Like I was like the burning bush, like the burning bush. I was like, just want to like help people like be sober and like do this and do that, right? And like I started experiencing this freedom when I was at church with people, and like you look in other people's eyes and like you see that light and you see freedom and okay within them. Like rather like I was explaining to my roommate John, like do you ever like you're going about your day to day, right? And you see people that just have like a dead look in their eye. Yeah. And they're like, I hate my life and I've accepted it. I'm like, I want nothing to do with you. Unless you want some help. Yeah. Like I'm kind of like on this path like today where like I cut people out of my life if they're not better serving me. Like it sounds selfish, but like it is. Because like I'm not willing to like be around negativity or like Debbie Downers anymore, right?
Well, dude, it's part of life, right? Like your happiness is your number one thing, and like you have to protect it. In this world, I don't give a crap what anyone says. You got to protect that,
right?
And you do it with whatever means you need to.
Yeah, and it's like with everything, like all this good stuff was happening, right? Like I got an apartment and I got this, and like once I stepped out of that circle, like I kind of maybe got back into some of the old behaviors. I was like, you know, kind of exploring the girls in Arizona, like back in the gym a little bit. I was like, all right, like I just did everything okay. I sat down with a therapist, like talked about a lot of stuff. Like got really vulnerable and was like, dude, like I feel like less of a man, you know what I mean? Like because of sexual stuff that happened. Like I lift weights because like I want to feel bigger and stronger and be more manly and like all that, right? But when you like step away from it and you step away from those people that are constantly bettering themselves, like for me, they say left to our own devices. Like if I'm on my own, like I'm not gonna be okay. Like what I have, what you were talking about, addiction is a disease, whether it is or not. Like I have something, everyone does. Like I have a decision every day. Like I have a spiritual contingent on my daily reprieve or something like that. Probably butchered a little bit, but like I have a daily decision to like fall back into my old behaviors or better myself. And like I had 9 months out in Arizona, and I started stepping away from my meetings. I was like sharing a message, sponsoring guys, and I started hanging out with like negative people, and I stopped going to meetings because I thought I have everything I needed again. And like they talk about reaching that feeling of like bliss, right? That euphoric feeling from like helping people and being of service. And they say, don't let AA interfere. Don't let the life AA gave you interfere with AA, right? Like all these blessings, don't let it interfere with the constant work, like giving back and helping people. Like I thought I had everything I needed, and I stopped going. And like I started to forget what it was like when I called you, when I was parked next to a dumpster in an unregistered car with a donut. You know what I mean? I forgot about my suicide attempts, and I was like, all right, dude, I could have a drink in California and be all right. You know, and this is May of last year, right? So right now I'm a little bit under 6 months, and May of last year, like me and my friend Jared, who's in rehab right now, right? That just goes to show he's the one who picked up a drink with me. He's now in rehab. Yeah. We shook hands. We're like, we're going to have one drink. It's going to stay in California. then I like ate a gummy bear and I turned off my phone because I was really paranoid. And everyone in my phone's like in church or in recovery or family, and they know my situation. So I was just like off. He was like taking posts. I was like, "What, are you stupid? Stop taking pictures and stuff." And it didn't stop there, dude. I got back to Arizona and I started partying and chasing girls again, and like my roommate was using at the time, and I wanted to keep it a secret from him because I was so prideful. Like, you develop a lot of pride in recovery, right? Like, my time holds a lot of weight. Like, I've learned my time isn't that important anymore, like I have today, and like I don't have to be so concerned with. Like, when I first got sober, someone was like, "Crap, I don't have like a year." Like, coming back this time, I was like, "I'm not gonna have a year on this state." Like, but what it's really about is like, what am I doing? But anyways, like that, just that hit of weed and drink led to a DUI on my birthday last year, right? So that's like, they say cunning, baffling, and powerful. Like, I picked up and like I delusionally thought that I would be okay. You know what I mean? After a time away from the drug, we think that we'll be able to handle it. But like, I can't. Like, it handled me. Like, the drugs and alcohol aren't the problem. I am. And like, the effect it has on my body is like, it gets out of control. And like, so right, like I now have this life in Arizona that's completely based around recovery, and now I'm out there drinking and smoking. So I stopped calling anybody. You know what I mean? I don't want to contact absolutely. I don't even know if I called you.
No, you were dodging me. I was calling you and you weren't picking up.
I was dodging everyone, like, because now I'm like, who am I, dude? I was just preaching this message at like halfway houses where, like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like a fake. And I was like, this sucks, dude. Now I'm like, again,
The heat's on, guys.
Like, what is? Who's
they're
breaking
here.
in?
They're back.
Well, I think I think it's interesting to come full circle in this idea of like years prior, you were all about sharing your story and like, oh, I was doing these drugs and I had robbed this person, and it was like that's where your validation was coming from. Right. But now you wanted to hide every part about that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, in a way, you're still. Yes. How am I trying to say this? Like, that was like that was how you were feeling like your confidence and your validation was from like the drugs originally, and now it's like, okay, now I need that validation and that pride that's going to come from making sure nobody knows that I'm doing these things anymore. Right. Does that make sense?
Well, like, yeah, I mean,
I didn't
like,
word that very well.
What do you mean, like the validation from like the people in the meetings? Like, now, like we were talking about, like, I'm doing like good and I'm doing good things, but I'm still like talking about it and being about it.
All right, I got it.
Do you know what I was trying to say?
Yeah, so what she was basically trying to say is like your identity, your confidence, like that inner light or whatever came from like, oh, I'm the fucking drug dealer, man. Like, I'm giving out crack. And now it's like that confidence and that light came from like, I'm in recovery. I'm helping spread my message to help other people.
Right.
And now you're like, oh, I effed. Instead of being like, yeah, go on, I'll go. Like, deal, you guys. Like, you might have been like, that one might have been something you bragged about 5 years back. Now you're like, oh my God, like, I gotta put it under the rug. I can't tell anyone. Like, I'm the recovery guy. I feel like a fraud. You know what I mean? Like, your sense of pride and your light came from being healthy and like bettering your life.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, I tried hiding it. Like, I tried going to meetings still. I still sponsored guys that I was helping. And I was like smoking weed and drinking just till it got to the point where I couldn't handle it anymore. And like, yeah, that's where, like, that is where my pride comes from today, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my identity is in Christ. Like, I'm a Christian. Like, I'm saved. Like, that's where my identity is. And like, I still struggle. And like, that daily reprieve, like, I still get. So like, you'll hear in the meetings, like, I get my medicine now in the rooms. Like, my shot of dope now, like, I used to put a shot of heroin in my arm, is like being here talking about it.
Yeah.
But like, talking about like the good that comes out of being sober. Like, going into a rehab, like helping a kid that's like, dude, like, I hate my life. This is what's going on. That's what's going on. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm getting a job. I'm doing this. Like, oh, like, what do I do about this amends? Like, I'm not sponsoring any guys currently, but this last time around, like, I was sponsoring 5 guys. And I go to, one of the guys is still sober. Yeah. So he's now sober longer than me. And like, we sat down and like, we would sit down for like 2 hours and he would be like, I'm not going to say any names, but it was a guy sponsor, and he was talking about like sexual abuse that happened to him as a result of me talking about what happened to me, right? Yeah. So I can use my hurt and like find a common ground with people and they can open up. Yeah. And like, yeah, that's where like I find like, that's what that's where my pride's at today. And like, that's what I hope to one day be doing, is like being on stage, you know what I mean? Like, sharing this message. Like, there's so many people out there sharing their message, but like, I know I have an ability like you do too, like to go into a room and like light people up, like just bring that like joy and laughter, right?
To just be real, man. I mean, I think that's like, I want to touch on that because I kind of want to bring this back a little bit. Is like, I mean, that's what sharing your message is all about, right? It's like, I'm not perfect. Yeah, what's up, Marcin? I'm not perfect, and I'm human. Part of the human condition is like, you're gonna fall on, if you're a real human being trying to get better, like you're gonna fall on your face again and again and again and again and again. And it's like any motivational speech says, like, you fall down like 8 times, you keep getting up. Like, the only time you fail is when you stop getting up. And I mean, I think for you, like, even when you called me, like, I know you were so ashamed to call me, and I finally, like, I don't know what happened. I finally got you to, like, pick up. I don't know if you weren't paying attention or whatever. And you're just like, yeah, man, I, like, been drinking, and I've been doing this, and, you know, I got the DUE, and I was like, you know, obviously I wasn't, like, pumped, but I was just like, all right, well, it's already in the past. Like, I'm not gonna, like, shame you. Like, I already know that you feel bad about it. Like, I don't need to do that for you, but, like, how are we gonna move forward? And how are we gonna learn from this? And, you know, it's always about what can I do to be better? And, like, it in anything, like addiction recovery, in starting a business, in trying to, like, get promoted in your job, and trying to create a better relationship with your wife, and trying to create a family. Like, there are constantly going to be slip ups and falls, and, like, but can you get back up? Can you learn from it? And I think that's what's important, is like, what good does it mean? Like, you feel bad enough. Like, I don't need to come here and be like, you idiot, what are you doing? Like, it's about supporting you. And, like, I know you're learning. I know you're growing, you know, and there is a difference. There's a difference of, like, do you keep doing the same thing over and over again? No, like, you flew out to Arizona, like, you made that happen. You had 9 months. Like, you're trying to better yourself. You made a mistake. Okay, like, you made a mistake. Feel those feelings, and let's move forward from there. And I mean, it's just like us, like businesses. We make mistakes all the time. We just fucking took us 20 minutes to get this thing going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but we just laugh. Like, well, maybe don't laugh about that one, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that is, like, such an important message. I want, like, everyone to understand, like, no matter what you're trying, like, there is no perfect. And I used to think that, like, success was a straight line to the top. And, like, we've seen the, like, pictures on Google Images. It's like, you know, it's all over the place.
Well, you don't know the highs without the lows. You don't know, like, the happiness and the joy without, like, the sorrows and the pains. Like, I think some dips are deeper than others, and, you know, but we were talking about this earlier. Like, is there ever really, like, this success point that we reach, or is it just, like, this constant flow of, like, ups and downs? And I think something important to touch back to too is like, bringing what you just said, like, kind of back, like, when you hit those points of, like you could have had that, like, year mark, but you had, like, slip up in the middle, you know, or whatever you want to call it. But, like, what do you learn from those moments? Because some people probably hit those, like, have those mistakes, or I don't know, whatever you're gonna call it, but, and just completely, like, go back, like, spiral backwards from that. Like, how, like, what was it that made you continue to, like, want to, like, keep going forward?
Like, pull myself out of the DUI. Like, so, like, God, like, looking, when the DUI happened, it was on my birthday, and I was like, this is awful. I mean, and, like,
because you're probably so proud of, like, the progress that you've made, and then
and then I got a DUI, and, like, I woke up and I got in the shower and I cried and I prayed, and I was like, God, like, I can't stop. That, like, day after, I was like, I'm done. I'm not drinking anymore. 2 hours later, I had a drink in my hand, and, like, I said a prayer, dude, and I started reaching back out to, I think Marcin, he was just live. I reached out to Marcin, told him about my DUI, Coulter, and I started reaching out to those people. I was like, dude, like, you flew to Arizona to build a life for yourself, right? If I continue down this path, I'm gonna be homeless, shooting heroin in no time. And, like, at this point, I've separated from the halfway house, and, like, that constant shuffle of, like, going back out doing dope, going back into rehab. Like, I'm now, like, not superior to that, but, like, I feel like I'm past that point in my life. Like, I'm out in Arizona in an apartment on my own. Nobody is gonna come, like, get me out of this. Like, if I want to get out of this, this is on me. And, like, I honestly, like, dude, it was killing my spirit every day that, like, I was drinking and smoking weed, but I couldn't stop. And, like, I was able to, like, that DUI was, like, God being like, hey, kid, let's go. Like, you brought me back into it. And, like, what I'm going to touch base on is, like, the brotherhood and friendships I have out there. like my sponsor currently, Coulter, he's like snowboarding in Wyoming or something right now. But he came to my house and he picked me up, or he met me at a meeting, and he sat next to me while I cried and like opened up and talked about like the past 2 months of chaos. He's like, I love you, bro. I love you, dude. His dad's my boss. His brother is my work partner. You seen Jesse? You met Jesse?
Oh, Jesse.
He's out in Mexico killing deer or whatever. But
Love you, Jesse. Take care. That's good.
like I just like my eyes were open. Like, dude, all these people are still here for me. You know what I mean? I can choose to go one way. I'm faced with a decision. Just like back to the dumpster after my suicide attempt.
Yeah.
I could have kept running, or I could have faced it. So like you guys talked about a superpower on my
Yeah.
you asked about that, like Super Saiyan mode. I was like, let's go. All of a sudden it was like the middle of summer, July 22nd, and I'm like 1 day sober and I got a DUI I didn't have to deal with. So I'm like, all right, let's work like 70 hours a week and just like get this done. And financially, like looking back at it, it like played out perfect, right? Because like I need to stay busy or I'll go stir crazy. Not that like I'm not okay with myself. Like some days I'm not. Some days, you know what I mean? Some days I'm not completely okay with who Zach is, but like I have that personality where like I like being like, let's go, right? And like I was working like excessive hours and like blessings just like happened. I got some side jobs and all that, and I worked my steps again with Coulter. I'm now involved with the rehab I was just talking about where Jared's at. I spoke at. I just had my little brother. Okay, so my little brother just flew out to Arizona to like see me and spend a week with me. His mom, like as a result of like what I was doing, like saw my life and like flew my little brother out there to like spend time with me, right? And like I see these blessings starting to come true. So now like my 19-year-old little brother's sitting on my couch with me that like I haven't had a relationship with for like 7 years because of my drug use. And we were like, I brought him to work one day and we're working. I was like, do you believe in God? He's like, how could I not? I was just like, what? I like teared up. I was like, for real? Yeah. And I was like, no way, dude. My little brother believes in God.
Yeah.
And we were like cleaning and stuff, and like I kind of made an amends to him and like talked to him, and he's like, "You're a good big brother. I love you." I was like, "What?" And like I did what you did. Like when you came out to Arizona, you were like, "All right, let's go. Like learn to love yourself." And like I had some serious talks with him, hiked some mountains with him. Like I showed him what sober fun looks like. You know what I mean? I brought him to rehab. He played Marson in basketball. I think Marson cheated. He would have smoked Marson otherwise. But I don't know, dude. Like you get to start like. So I'm faced with this constant decision of like accepting all these blessings in love. Do we just saw my sister, your cousin, your friend? You'll meet her. Maybe she'll be on here one day. Nika, my sister just got married, right?
Yeah.
Our whole family that was not together since Aunt Jean's memorial was just all together, like in a room, and they were all okay with each other. Cool. And I was wicked on edge about that.
We'll talk about. I want you to talk about like I saw it, like your little sister Ella too.
Yeah,
she was all over. Like she was
right.
like.
I saw you dancing with those little girls.
Well, no, like, but like his little sister, like you said, that was like the first time she's seen you sober, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like, she was like, you could tell. She's like, you're her big brother, dude. And she was like, all. I mean, I was like sitting there smiling, like it was cute. You know what I mean? Like that. How that? Like talk about that. Like you know what I mean? Like this is your new reality.
Right. And it's like it doesn't even seem. It doesn't even like seem real sometimes. Like she kept coming up behind me. She's like, "What's up?" I was like, "What's up? What do you need? What do you want?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, she's just my little sister. She just wants to like be around me."
Yeah.
So like I was able to, you know what I mean, like dance with her and like be there. And we like went and played the pool.
Yeah, that was
with
awesome.
her in Nevaeh for like an hour. Right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
So like, and I constantly have these like mind like baffling moments. Like, you were shooting dope next to a dumpster a year and a half ago. Now you're in a hotel that your stepmom just gave you the room. You just flew here with your own snowboard bag from your own apartment in Arizona. You're driving your cousin's truck. Like, all this trust is instilled in you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, all these things are going on. And, like, it's a direct result of, like, showing up, doing the work, and, like, being around good people. Yeah. And, like, what that was like, dude, like, it's emotional. You know what I mean? Like, all my family, like, I got to see my sister and, like, look at her and be like, you look absolutely beautiful. Like, instead of, like, where are we getting to? Or, like, because we used together, you know? Yeah. And, like, my family's just, like, it's coming to, I set some boundaries with my dad. I was like, yo, listen. He's like, you're gonna fuck this wedding, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna drive you into the ground. Right?
That's aggressive.
Like, aggressive boundaries.
It is, right.
But it's boundaries.
Some boundaries need to be aggressive when it's maybe your sister's wedding or your own health, or, like, you were talking about, like, saying no or, like, setting boundaries with people, right? like, I'm gonna, like, this is what it is. Like, for me to be okay, or for this to be okay, like, this is what I'm gonna need from you. If you can't provide that, then see you. You know, or like, dude, don't ruin this day. And like, he honored that and he respected it because he saw who I am today and like what I'm doing. And I don't know, that day was magical. Now we're doing a podcast in Sean's living room.
Yeah.
Like you said, I was saying, yeah, you know.
Well, I think like the key points that I want to like take from your story, like so people understand, is like a couple of things. So like obviously hearing Zach's story and hearing where you're at, like one thing you get to understand is like you get to choose your reality.
Right.
You actively were choosing that. Granted, it might have been very unconscious at times, but then like look at where you're at now. Like you've done the work and chosen this reality. And the other piece of that is like who you surround yourself with. Another choice we have, like who are you going to surround yourself with? And I'll be real honest, I'm gonna step in and say what my role in this is. Like you went out in August and like you had slipped up and you were kind of like back to some like not like shooting up, but just some like shitty behaviors. And I watched you slip in and like I met some of the people you're hanging out with and I'm just like, I just remember saying to you straight up, like, what are you doing? Right. Like stop, like what is this? Like you trying to save him? Like what's the point of this? Like stop shrinking to make yourself like your ego feel better because you're just walking down the same path. And you talk to me about it. It's like these guys, these people aren't it. And then you took me to meet Steve and Olga, who are these like God-centered, like amazing people. Like, so he takes me to like this family. They're just like, they go to church and like, they're just like good people. I sat and talked with them for like 2 hours, and like, I'm like, we leave there. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you not having Sunday dinner with these people? Like, you have family here. You tell me you don't feel like you have family. You have family right in front of you. Like, you got to open your eyes. And it's like, you have a choice. And then I left, I think, I gave you a slap in the face, like, and you woke up a little bit and you started making good decisions and surrounding yourself with like Coulter and Marston and Jesse and these Stephen Olga and these good people. You started, we'll get there. We're coming, Joe. You just started making better decisions, and like, sometimes that's what I want to tell people too, is like, you have like you influence people, whether you know it or not. And I think for you, it was like me showing up in your life. This is just high level. What I see is like, you never had someone that like was going to give you tough love. That was going to be like, no, I see what you have inside of you and I'm not accepting anything less. And I think that's what I did for you and said, like, I love you no matter what. And you can do this, like, give you that self-belief. And I mean, we can do that for anyone in our lives. I mean, I know she's done it for me, like, I mean, I'm not shooting up or anything, but like, you've done it in business, like in different situations where like, you never know how helpful someone can be in your life. And, those are like the 3 major takeaways I think we can give the people is like, you choose your reality, you choose who you hang out with, and like, you can be a positive influence for someone and like really alter their course of their life. I've had people do it for me. I've been blessed with amazing people that have helped lead me here, and I mean, that's it, and that's my plug, and I'm just rambling at this point. So that is all.
And with that,
do you have anything else?
Yeah, well, there's actually one question that I did want to bring up that's a little bit off topic, and I was trying to figure out where to fit it back in, but I just think it's important because we talked about it earlier before we went live, and I just think it's something important for people to hear. We were talking about like the difference between like and we talked about this the other day, like addiction being a disease or not, and why it doesn't matter.
Right. So like my response to that, like even Sean asked me on Arizona, I was like, I'm not getting into this. Like my answer to that is like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. Like whether you're out there right now and like you're thinking about doing a shot of dope, or like you're out there and you're judging someone that's like sharing a message and like they're saying it, like it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like there's people out there that are struggling, whether they display it in like lifting weights, like overworking, being a workaholic, like they're hurt in some way, they're cheating on their spouse, like they're doing this, like they're broken, right? Like they need to like find a way out of it. Like, and I like my answer to that is like, I've overdosed. I've seen friends overdose. Like I found a way out. I've seen people that have found out. Like to me, it doesn't matter if it's a disease. There's no medicine that's going to fix it, right? It's constant work. And like, it doesn't matter. Like the life you want requires constant work. The life you require wants constant work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
You know what I mean?
We just get so
caught up in
our
pride
labeling
and arguments.
Labeling things too, and it's like we're gonna label this, and then we're gonna give a quick fix for what we've labeled.
Right. And
whereas it doesn't matter.
No, like my answer.
Call it.
Right. My answer to that is like if I pick up a drug, like eventually I'll have a needle in my arm and I'll die. And like I know a lot of people like that. And if you want to either call that disease or not a disease, it doesn't matter. Like it's a big fucking problem in our country, right? Like
even addiction, like even labeling something an addiction,
right?
You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that I want to talk about this too. Like,
well, it's like acknowledge it, right, and honor it. If it's a problem.
You have to accept
it. You don't have to like call it anything.
Right. Accept it, honor it, and figure out what you can do in this present moment to improve the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To live more positively.
I mean, I think it's so much about. I heard there was a monk. He's on Facebook a lot, so this is actually a really good guy to follow. His name's Jay Shetty. He talks about how, again, like you found your identity as like, you know, you felt like a boss being the drug dealer, right? Like that's your identity. And then like now you're like a recovered person. Like so oftentimes we're trying to find an identity, and like we want it. The easiest way to do that, because we all have egos, is to put ourselves in like a box, or he calls it an echo chamber. I love that. It just sounds so intelligent. So I said that. But we're trying to put ourselves in these boxes to describe ourselves. So it's like, who are you, Michaela? Oh, I'm a photographer. I'm 27. I'm a girl.
A lady.
Yeah. Whoa, she's a lady. I don't know, that came out of nowhere. But, you know, and I would say, hey, I'm an inspirational speaker. I'm the co-host of a podcast. I'm a dude. I'm an athlete. I fish. I ski. Like, these are all just labels, but like who you truly are inside, like this is what I truly believe Eckhart Tolle says, is just try saying like, I am.
Yeah.
Like there's no limits behind what you can do. And like, so if we really come from that place, like what the fuck does it matter what I call it? You know, like you struggling? You don't love yourself? Okay, like let's just leave it at that. And like, let's find a way for you to figure that out. And I mean, that's anyone with anything. Like you just got divorced. Like you failed in recovery, you failed a business, you failed a relationship. Like none of that. I mean, it's all
failure's relative.
Really, there's no failure, right? There's only learning. I think someone heard that. There's only learning. So it's like if you can come from the mindset of like, okay, what can I learn from this? And usually it's not most of those things. I mean, sometimes it's about you, but sometimes it's not. But what can you learn from it? Because sitting in self-pity and like trying to be like, oh, now I'm like the failed business guy, or I'm a loser, or
just putting yourself right back into a box.
Yeah, it's just it's not worth it. You know, like we're all limitless, and we all can come from this place of learning, and we can be whatever we want. So if we take away, we shed the labels. Like, what was the one? So there's one more thing. I know I'm rambling here, but if we could, like, if what you said about people like would like kind of come out in tattoo form on your body. You know what I mean? So like words that you said came out on you, like maybe we'd think about what we were saying to other people a little bit differently. Right. Like, would you want like well, I'm probably not all the swears we said this morning painted all over me, but you know what I mean? Like, would you want negative and judgment and shame? Would you want all that all over your body, or would you want maybe something a little more positive? Right. You know, so it's like, again, everything's relative, but like, what do you want to be putting out? And like, I think it's just drop the labels, really.
Yeah. And I think too, if you could, it's going to sound super cheesy, and I started regretting saying this as soon as I started saying it, but like if you could put yourself, and I've like committed, if you could put yourself into one box, like I think the thing that's been coming up for me lately is just like love. Like it just comes right back to love, and like projecting that love like upon yourself immediately, just like you project it outward as well, and nothing like negative or like ugly comes from like just pure love. So I think, I don't know, that's just been showing up a lot for me. And if you can choose one box to put yourself in, let it be love, I think. But that was definitely cheesy. So just before we do end, because we are running out of time, can you just let the people know what life looks like for you now?
I mean, I'm going to Sunday River here, and like as soon as
you guys are ready. Like, you're like, let's get out of here.
No.
So like, well, no, I mean, like what my life looks like today is like, you know what I mean? I was snowboard for 3 days, which is like something I was passionate about growing up, and like now I'm back into it. Like I have all my own equipment again and stuff. And I'm able to go do that. Like I have back home, I have a roommate, like a dear friend. He's a good guy. I got a girlfriend. She's amazing.
What's her name?
Jenna May.
Is she watching?
I don't know if she is anymore.
Sorry.
She might be.
What about what's your roommate's name?
Johnny.
Johnny Ryan, guys. I just want to. Sorry, I'm interrupting you because I want to give a plug for John.
Amazing piano.
Incredible pianist.
Mm.
John Ryan. Jonryan. John Ryan. Like the piano man. Elton John. I'm sorry. I'm trying to like get him to like do more of that stuff. Anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I got to take 2 weeks off from work. Like, I get to like do that now. Like, I have a job to return to. Like, I'm working for Coulter. Jenna is watching. Hey, yup. How you doing?
Hi, Jenna.
Hi, Jenna.
Emily Ramsey, yo. But so like when I get back home, dude, I have work I'm going back to. Like, I have still clean up a little wreckage from the DUI. I get to do some IOP when I get back. I still have things going on. Like, I have the Tuesday commitment I'm involved with, going into that rehab every week. Church Sunday. And that should be like once a week, but it's maybe like twice a month or once a month. You know what I mean? But like, we are the body, right? Like, when, you know what I mean, there he is. Like, when two or more are gathered, God is there. But like, I have a beautiful life today. Like, I have a job. Like, it's not the end for me. Like, I still want to, get her done, kid. I have like amazing friends back home. Like, I have.
Look at all the people watching you.
Yeah.
Right, we were sitting in this meeting on Tuesday, and there's like 6 dudes up there, like, that are all on my phone, and like, I could call them with anything, and like, they're like, all right, let's go. What do we need to do? I'm coming. Right. And, like, I have people that honor me and like want the best for me. Like, I'm going back to school this year.
Yeah.
I'm working on some debt. Like, I guess you get a lot of debt when you're excessively just being stupid. And I'm trying to clear that up. I'm trying to set myself up to go to school back in fall. I want to finish my business degree. What I'm going to do with it, I don't know. But like, I'm going to finish my business degree because I want to, and I want to prove to myself that I can. Right?
Sure.
And
what else? You doing some speaking this week?
Oh yeah, Thursday this week I get to go to speak at a rehab in Massachusetts, Banyan, where like I was at, where I AMA'd from 3 times. Like, I was there 3 times. The kid I was with, my roommate, he's dead now, right? And like the other kid from the New Hampshire one left an overdose, and he's dead now. So 2 of the friends from each of these rehabs are both dead, and I was friends with both of them and got high with both of them. And now like I get to go bring in a message and like share what my life looks like. And in doing that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it could be seen as like outside of addiction, like, it used to bother me. It's like, that his constant life now, like, based around recovery. Like, I used to be like, dude, why is that constantly in your life? Like, is that the only thing you can do to feel okay? But like, right now, my like life's centered around like Christ and like recovery.
But I think that's a great thing.
Right,
That's
and
a
it is.
beautiful thing.
And it's
Clearly,
the perception.
there's so many people out there who need to hear your story.
Yeah, and my perception changed to where like, this is what I do, and like, I'm not gonna like say it like my beliefs. Like, remember we were hiking in Arizona, like someone was like, what's your belief on God? I was like, Jesus, like, kind of hesitantly. I wasn't like loud and proud of it.
Yeah, but
I was
you
like,
bowed down.
yeah, dude, like, I love Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And like, he's in me, like, I know that, right? And like, I can go into a room and like light it up, share my message, and you know what I mean? When I get back, I can get more involved in meetings and keep doing what I'm doing so I don't end up with another DUI this summer. And like, that might sound insane, but it's like, that's how this shit works.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't stay on the firing lines, if I'm not in the rehab where someone just came from like maybe almost dying or like losing family members and they're like struggling, if I don't see that guy, where like today, like, maybe I don't want to be sober, but I'm a vessel for this guy that has no fucking hope. And I get to be here and sit up here and represent what AA should look like, or what NA, or what recovery, or what like a good life can look like.
Well, I think we're all constantly recovering from something.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that is so true with anything. Like, for me, this past year, I struggled my whole life stepping into like feeling beautiful. And if I'm not constantly trying to inspire other women and other people of their own beauty and their own like life and like inspiring them, then I lose that inspiration for myself.
Right.
So I think no matter what it is, like for you, it was like, that made me think of like, for you, it was tough for you to like call yourself an inspirational speaker. But the second you stop doing that, like, you forget you're an inspirational speaker. Like, you forget your own like ability to inspire and change lives as soon as you like shrink from your own.
Well, think about it. Yeah, it's like, I inspire people every day, but like, and it's mostly, and for all of us, it's mostly about the other people, but like in a selfish way. Like,
But
it's
it's
my
not selfish.
But it is. It's like my inspiration. Like, I need to do that for myself. Like there was a time where like I couldn't get out of bed.
Right.
You know, so it's like when I get up in the morning, I'm like, whoa, let's rock this shit.
Let's go.
Everyone's like, whoa, dude, like chill out. But it's like that's my way of like getting myself fired up. And like clearly by you projecting that outward, like you're firing other people out because they're like you said at one point, they have people see the something that they want. You know what I mean? They're like, what is that? You know, and it's like it's not drugs, it's not anything. It's just this is me. Like this is. I mean, I'm not always like this. You know, like you've seen me like cry on the floor for 4 hours sometimes. But
well, we talked about this morning too. It's like why do you post certain things on Instagram, for example? It's like part of that is for your personal validation, but that's okay. Like that's okay because we're humans and we thrive off of validation and we need that to sustain ourselves. But it's understanding why you need that validation. Is it because like you are like, is it a negative reason, or is it because you want other people to see your story and what you've been through so that they can relate in some way?
Right. And I think the answer can go both ways. Like maybe some days it's like I want some validation to feel better about myself, and like other days it's like doing something like this to like get out there and like show people what my life looks like.
Yeah.
Some days it's more for them than it is for me.
Yeah.
But that's based
And vice
upon
versa.
right. It's based upon like how your day's going, how you wake up. Can you get out of bed that day? Are you fired up? Do you need the other people to fire you up that you fired up yesterday? It's just like a big circle of firing up.
And I mean, I want to just like, because we're going pretty deep here, like wrap this up. But like in saying, I just want to say to our viewers, anyone, no matter what your story is, what your life experience is, I mean, your story, like you never know. Like you literally never know who it can affect. Like you're not like, you may not see it. You might not like get a direct like letter, but like I'm going to go back to one of our first podcasts because we're reviewing Rhea. That woman asked you to do that photography shoot and you said yes, and that was the start of your business. Like, you know,
Those catalysts.
like honestly, Aunt Jean, like a little bit different, but like I look at it this way. This is my perspective on my aunt's death and her battle with cancer. Is like she gave me and Zach, she gave me and you a gift. She gave our family a gift. First time we come together, you might not be here. You might not have had anyone to call if that didn't happen. So that was her gift to us. Like maybe she knows it because she's watching over us, but like it was an unseen gift. We never looked at it that way. You know, you're probably giving thousands of people gifts. Like I know for a fact you're giving plenty of women gifts. You know, like I'm giving people gifts. Like don't always see it. You don't always see that ripple effect, but the power we have by sharing. Right. Like because you're like I'm releasing. Like at first it starts as like your way to take your power back, right? Like you release yourself from your own chains. But then people are like, oh, like for you, I was actually like, oh, I went through mental illness, or oh, I've never felt beautiful, and I'm like 35 or 22 or whatever, you know, like that's super powerful. And I just like I want to encourage people. Like I'm sick of like these stigmas like, across the board for anything. It's like share, be real. Like I know there's like such a thing as dumping too much on people. I've done that before, but like. Share with people you care about. Like share your story, share your truth. Because if you live like my version of living from a wild heart is like walking in truth. And when you talk about love too, I think people always think about rainbows and ponies. Like you shared some pretty harsh truths with me, you know. But that like to me that's love. Like I've shared some like I've said straight up to you, no one's fucking coming to save you. Like. I don't know if that was great life advice, but like, you know what I mean? Like that's,
stuck and
you know, it's like, that's love, you know, I had to tell myself that like, that's tough love. And like love comes in so many different forms, you know, but it's important to like lead from that place of truth in my eyes.
Yeah. Crap. I could keep talking forever.
I know. Do you want to, want to ask them our final question?
Why do you always do that? It's like we have this, like, can you ask them the final question?
I know.
Zach, what does it mean to have a wild heart to you? It was a horribly asked question.
It's okay.
Can I start over?
Yeah, I want to read it. Pretend. Rewind.
What does having a wild heart mean to you?
Having a wild heart to me, I think, like, I don't know, like, I'm a really, like, sensitive person. And, like, most of my decisions are based off, like, emotions, which is sometimes, like, good and sometimes not. But I, like, think, I don't know, to me, like, it means, like, I have the ability to, like, see the best in people, right? Like, I don't know. Jenna sent me a meme the other day that was like, every time you look into somebody's, what does it do? Every person's eye you look into, God loves. Whether they're like trying to kill you or like do this or like something, like they're loved by somebody, and like if I'm able to see that, right, and like I can see the light in them, like it can either be really dangerous, you can get taken advantage because you're like constantly trying to help people and like help better them, and they might not be ready for it, but it's like overall it's usually going to result in some kind of positive change. And I don't know, I think just being overly like optimistic for people and like towards myself, and like I am overly optimistic. I could be like doing the dishes at Carrabba's or Chili's, and I'm like, there's like this kid doing the dishes, and I'm like, dude, do you see how doing the dishes is gonna like result in your end life? Like this is it right here. Like you get to do these fucking dishes. Like I'm gonna do these dishes because I'm gonna be on stage sharing my message one day. Like that's like the wild like ability to like hype myself up. Like I make my bed in the morning because like I get home and I'm like, all right, I made my bed. And like they talk about in the military, like you built a little bit of confidence because you completed your first task. And it's like just that overly optimistic, like loving thing, and like, yeah, it could go on forever. Like love, love, love.
Love, love, love. All the love.
All right, man.
Love.
Well, we're just going to end with love. Love you guys.
Love you guys. And one last time.
Wow, that's hard.
Yeah.
So in case you missed it at the beginning, they look so good. Don't they look so
like,
good?
Hold on. Mine's like, wait, which way am I going to go?
Ah.
Hold on, do it. Because we're going to release some pictures. But
Yeah, we have some pictures. So if you missed it at the beginning, we are selling shirts. The link is in my bio on Instagram. I posted it on Facebook. The link is in Sean's bio on Instagram and in the Wild Hearts Instagram bio. And we are selling these shirts because we need equipment to create better content, sound quality, so that we can get on iTunes. And we want this to be an entire community involved thing. So we need your help, and we want to see these t-shirts in the community. So yay.
Thanks,
we appreciate your support and love you very much. Have a
great Monday.
It's
Monday. Wow, it's Monday.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.